Hello. In this video, I would like to introduce the Xiaomi Mix Fold 3 review. I am introducing to you the detailed Xiaomi Mix Fold 3 review that is useful, especially conclusion, pros and cons at the end of the video. Please kindly enjoy watching the video as following. 3 generations in, the ugly duckling has not only grown up to be a beautiful swan, but has also reached maturity. The Mix Fold 3 is Xiaomi's latest attempt at a phone-turns-tablet style of foldable, and we're really liking it. Let's review the design. When the Xiaomi Mix Fold 2 came out, it was such a massive step up over the previous generation in terms of design and overall concept that it made the previous model look several years old immediately. The Mix Fold 2 was also among the thinnest foldables of its kind last year and a truly remarkable device to hold and marvel at. Little has changed now with the Mix Fold 3. The Mix Fold 3 maintains the same general proportions as last year's model and brings a 6.56-inch display on the cover, offering a regular-sized smartphone feel in the folded state, so to speak. That's in contrast to the most popular phone-turns-tablet device out there, the Galaxy Z Fold 5, the use of which in its folded state isn't exactly a pleasant experience. There are, after all, some styling changes. For example, while the Mix Fold 2 only came with a frosted glass back in either of its 2 colorways, the third generation spices things up a couple of notches. 3 colorways are available and our review unit is what we'd call the most basic, black variant. It features a glass back panel that's matte and sort of textured like leather. It isn't soft and supple and grippy like the best implementations of vegan leather that we've handled, but those are essentially plastic, and this one is glass. We pocket knife scratch tested it, just to make sure. The other black option has a composite back that has the weave of carbon fiber, but is made of 5 layers of ceramic and aramid fibers. Xiaomi says it's 36 times stronger than glass and 28% lighter. Thus equipped, the Mix Fold 3 weighs 255 g, while the glass variants are a full 4 g heavier. Speaking of, the other glass option is gold. The camera island has gotten larger, but it does have one extra module to accommodate, compared to the Mix Fold 2. Xiaomi has also adopted a version of the fine slope that the 13 Ultra has leading up to the camera bump. The camera island's mirror-like plate is ceramic. We'd say the whole look is very stylishly understated, even on gold variant where it does add a bit of contrast. The styling change of more practical significance than the back panel, perhaps, is the new shape of the aluminum side rails. Now flat and matte, they're noticeably easier to grasp and make unfolding the Mix Fold 3 a more straightforward endeavor. And while unfolding the handset, you'll easily notice it's nowhere as eager to snap between phone and tablet states as the Mix Fold 2 was. Indeed, Xiaomi has redesigned the hinge for this generation in such a way that it can remain stable at angles between 45 and 135 degrees. The Mix Fold 2 didn't give us grounds for complaint when it came to its crease, and the one on the Mix Fold 3 is similarly subtle, perhaps even marginally smoother still. We're not saying it's entirely flat, of course, and if you go looking or feeling for it, you'll notice it. But it's better than the one on the Galaxy Z Fold 5, for certain. Xiaomi's press materials mention a TV certification for 500,000 hinge folds, and that's probably the highest number we've seen of this kind, though we're not entirely sure that necessarily covers the display panel itself. Xiaomi's internal testing has shown that 200,000 folds later, the crease depth increases by just 10 mm, so perhaps they do rate the whole assembly at 500,000. Unfolded, the Now tablet feels great in the hand. The ultra-slim profile makes a distinctly premium impression, while the device is also light enough to be comfortable to hold for extended periods of time. The hardware bits are laid out in a familiar way on the Mix Fold 3, though we did spot a minor, inconsequential rearrangement. One of the secondary mics has been relocated. It's that pinhole in the frame that's now farther from the infrared blaster. The SIM slot, dual nano, is on the other half of the phone, together with the top speaker, that also doubles as an earpiece. Despite the orange gasket you can see there on the SIM tray, the Mix Fold 3 does not have an official rating for water resistance. Before the Pixel Fold and the Huawei Mate X3, it was only Samsung foldables that had an IPX8 rating, and its lack in other devices was easier to look past. But now that more and more bendy smartphones offer that level of protection, the fact that it's missing on the Mix is more of a punishable offense. Back to the tour of the periphery, we're seeing the USB-C port on the bottom, joined by what is the primary mic. There's a third one peeking out from the side of one of the rear cameras. The bottom speaker is here as well, naturally. The power and volume buttons are on the right of the Mix Fold 3, and both are in the rear half when the device is folded, unlike, for example, Honor that likes to keep them on opposite halves for one reason or another. Both click nicely. The Mix Fold 3's power button also houses a capacitive fingerprint reader. It's easily accessible with either the right thumb or the left index finger and has worked trouble-free for us. A selfie camera punctures the cover screen in the middle of its top edge. The bigger news is that there is now a selfie camera on the inside as well. The Mix Fold 2 didn't have the internal one. And since we're looking from up close, you can also see the somewhat wide lip of the bezel covering the flexible panel. The one on the Galaxy Z Fold 5 is thinner, but sticks up a tiny bit higher. Neither is an issue, though. Overall, we'd say that the design and in-hand feel of the Mix Fold 3 are about as premium as you can get from a foldable in 2023. Even the latest Galaxy Z Fold 5 with its long overdue, gapless folding doesn't quite have the same upmarket aura as the Mix. Now, if only the Xiaomi had water resistance. Top-tier foldable display, the outer one is nice too. The Mix Fold 3 comes with some properly impressive display hardware. Both panels are Samsung-made E6 OLEDs with advertised peak brightness of 2600 nits, Dolby Vision support and up to 120 Hz refresh rate. The internal display has an 8.025-inch diagonal and a resolution of 2160x1916px in a squarish 10.1:9 aspect ratio. Pixel density works out to 360 ppi. This panel is the Eco 2 Plus variety, and it doesn't have a polarizing layer, which improves light transmittance and, in turn, power efficiency. It's also an LTPO panel that enables continuously adaptive refresh rate in the 1 to 120 Hz range. Refresh rate. Both displays support up to 120 Hz refresh rate, and there are two refresh modes in settings: Custom, where you can choose between 120 Hz or 60 Hz ceilings, and Default, automatic switching behavior. The adaptive behavior works differently on the two panels, with the internal one being truly adaptive and cover panel only partially so. The foldable screen drops down to 1 Hz when it's showing static content and can be incredibly dynamic, constantly changing between 10 Hz and 120 Hz with no apparent fixed steps, in games or browsers. The few scenarios where we saw it go for fixed refresh rates, besides 1 Hz for static picture, were 24 Hz for 24 frames per second videos, 30 Hz for 30 frames per second clips, and 60 Hz for HFR clips and apps that are incompatible with dynamic refresh rate adjustments. You can expect more or less the same thing whether you're in default or custom 120 Hz mode, and the dynamic adjustments works the same way in custom 60 Hz, only capped at 60 Hz. The cover screen, on the other hand, supports fixed refresh rates and not a super wide selection of them: 30 Hz, 60 Hz, 90 Hz, and 120 Hz. If you've set default or 120 Hz, then you'll get 120 Hz when interacting with the phone, with a drop to 60 Hz for idling or video playback, and 30 Hz for the always-on display. Xiaomi Mix Fold 3 battery life. The Mix Fold 3 gets a minor battery capacity increase, its two cells now totaling 4,800 mAh as opposed to the older model's 4,500 mAh. The Vivo X Fold 2 and the Huawei Mate X3 match the new Mix, while the Honor Magic Versus, and now the V2, goes for a 5,000 mAh capacity. The Galaxy Z Fold 5 is more modest, making do with just 4,400 mAh worth of juice. Charging speed. The Mix Fold 3 ships with a 67W charger, same as the one on the Mix Fold 2 and a bunch of other Xiaomis. Xiaomi says the phone should charge from 1% to 100% in 40 minutes, and that was also their claim on the Mix Fold 2, which had a slightly smaller battery. We couldn't quite match their lab results in our lab back then, 45 minutes in our testing, and we couldn't on the Mix Fold 3 either. Android 13 with MIUI Fold 1 4.1.5. The Mix Fold 3 is running a MIUI Fold 1 4.1.5, a foldable-specific version of Xiaomi's overlay, on top of an Android 13 core. The device is a China-only release, so it's on the Chinese branch of MIUI and we're not expecting an official global ROM. That doesn't mean you don't get to use Google apps, it just means that you'll need to install them yourself, while the Play services do come pre-installed. Also pre-installed is a wide array of Chinese apps, most of which you can thankfully uninstall. Either way, you start off with the in-house browser and the default keyboard with the usual Chinese input capabilities, and all of that is difficult to operate from a Western user's standpoint. Once you get Gboard, Chrome and the Play Store up and running, things get a lot smoother. Still, there will be remains of Chinese elements here or there in the UI or in the system apps. Plus, we can't be certain if one or another software peculiarity wouldn't become an issue in the long run for more niche use cases. Then there's the fact that some things in the UI and feature set are just different and that we find odd. For example, in some system apps, like the clock, where the global MIUI builds use icons for different tabs, the Chinese build has simple text labels. The file manager has that difference too, plus a different look of the recent tab. A versatile quad camera on the back. One of the key improvements on this year's Mix Fold is in the camera department. The large foldable now gets a proper quad camera system with not one but two telephotos. The main camera remains the same upon a passing glance, but it isn't quite, and the ultra-wide sees a bit of a downgrade. We can't have it all, apparently. Starting off with the telephotos, there's one that offers a 75mm focal length equivalent, or a 3.2x zoom ratio, and another one that stands at 115mm, 5x zoom. Both lenses are stabilized and the 5x is a periscope, and the apertures are f/2.0 and f/2.9 respectively. Each of these cameras uses a 10MP Samsung S5K3K1 sensor, January 3, 94-inch, 1.0 same as on the Galaxy S23s. The main camera is officially listed at 50MP, but Xiaomi also states it's using the Sony IMX800 sensor, which is nominally a 54MP unit with an somewhat unusual 1.43:1 aspect and a resolution of 8:768x6144px. Xiaomi is cropping a 8:192x6:144px portion from it, however, so both claims are technically correct. Of course, it's a quad Bayer design, so the phone bins pixels 4:1, resulting in 12.5MP images by default. With 50-ish million 1.0M pixels, the resulting sensor arrangement is equivalent to the old one, only the Mix Fold 3 arrives there in a different manner. Well, there's also the potential that this newer sensor is likely superior to the IMX766 of the old model. This primary camera's lens has a 23mm equivalent focal length and an f/1.8 aperture. The lens is stabilized too. The ultra-wide camera is based on an OmniVision OV13B10 imager, which should technically be a 13MP unit, but the Mix Fold 3 is capturing 12MP images with it, and that's the number that's in the spec sheet. The same sensor was used on the Mix Fold 2, but packaged with a different lens, a better one, we might say, because the old phone had autofocus on its ultra-wide, and this one doesn't. Then again, the Mix Fold 2's ultra-wide couldn't focus all that close anyway, but we'd argue that even a 30cm minimum focus distance and AF is better than fixed focus. You get two identical, selfie, cameras, one per display. The phone reports it's using the OmniVision OV20B sensor for them, and information on it is somewhat scarce. The phone does report a 23mm equivalent focal length and an f/2.25 aperture. Conclusion. The Mix Fold 3 is another step in the right direction for the Xiaomi foldable lineup, if not quite as dramatic as the transition from the first to the second generation. That said, some things haven't been addressed yet, like the waterproofing, less than ideal thermals, lackluster video capabilities, and software that's not as useful as it could be. The move from an autofocusing ultra-wide to a fixed focus one also perplexes us. However, this third generation does bring meaningful upgrades. We're fans of longer reach, and we very much appreciate the 5x telephoto, and it's nice that there's a 3.2x unit to bridge the gap too. There haven't been such zoom-focused foldables lately. Tying nicely with the enhanced imaging setup is the new hinge design that adds another layer of usefulness to the form factor. Also improved are the displays, now with some extra nits and better efficiency, which leads nicely us to the Mix Fold 3's superb battery life. We're absolutely happy that Xiaomi isn't making this one available globally. They'll probably further improve the Mix Fold next year, with 4K on the zoom cameras and an AFNG ultra-wide, and add waterproofing, and only then make it go worldwide. This one can stay in China for all we care. Sour grapes, much? Pros. Rich retail bundle with a 67W charger and a premium case. Classy design, hinge can now remain open in intermediate positions. Thoroughly wonderful displays, Dolby Vision support too. Class-leading battery life, wireless charging is also on the table now. Excellent speakers. Great photo quality across all cameras, well, the rear ones, that is. IR blaster, still. Cons. China exclusive release with a ton of Chinese apps pre-installed. No waterproofing. Somewhat limited software implementation for the large screen. Tendency to overheat under prolonged load, both CPU and GPU. No AF on the ultra-wide camera. Some hiccups in video stabilization, no 4K video on the telephotos. Thank you for watching. See you next videos.